Seeing is not believing. Believing is seeing. We often interpret what we see based on what we already believe. If you think you're not good enough, you'll perceive every neutral facial expression as judgment. If you believe someone dislikes you, you'll notice everything they do that supports that belief, and overlook anything that contradicts it. This has huge implications in daily life, relationships, careers, even self-image. If we don't challenge our underlying beliefs, our senses will just reflect them back at us like a distorted mirror. Perception is not just passive, it is shaped by what we already believe. Two people can watch the same event and walk away with entirely different understandings of it. Why? Because our brains filter sensory information through past experiences, expectations, and biases. In practical life, this means that we don't just see what's there, we see what we've been conditioned to notice. There is nothing either good or bad, but thinking makes it so. Shakespeare's insight echoes modern cognitive science. Our interpretation, not the sensory event itself, determines how we feel. Think about getting caught in the rain. One person might feel miserable, another might laugh and enjoy it. The difference isn't the rain, it's the mind interpreting it. You may receive criticism and instantly feel attacked, but if you reframe it as an opportunity to grow, your experience changes completely. The same input, words, facial expression, body language, leads to different emotional outcomes depending on your mindset. Recognizing this gives you control. You can't always change what you see or hear, but you can change the story you tell yourself about it. And that shift can transform your relationships, your confidence, and your peace of mind. The eye sees only what the mind is prepared to comprehend. We are often blind to what we aren't ready to understand. This happens in school, in conversations, and even in personal growth. You might not notice the impact of your behavior on others until someone points it out. And then suddenly, it's obvious. That's not because your senses suddenly changed, but because your awareness expanded. One of the most dangerous things we do is assume we've seen enough to understand. This illusion of certainty makes us quick to judge, slow to listen, and resistant to new information. In modern life, we often base our opinions on headlines, first impressions, and social media snippets, sensory and emotional snapshots that feel complete but rarely are. The more certain we are, the more blind we become to nuance and context. We live in a world where there is more and more information and less meaning. In an age of overwhelming media and constant stimulation, Baudrillard's insight is painfully true. We are bombarded with images, sounds, notifications, and news, yet we often feel more confused and disconnected than ever. When our senses are overloaded, we tend to react emotionally or instinctively, rather than thoughtfully. This shows up in everything from snap political opinions to unhealthy relationships. To protect the value of meaning, we need to filter wisely. Pause before reacting, verify before judging, and reflect before forming beliefs. The senses connect us to the world, but they also leave us vulnerable to overwhelm and misjudgment. Think about how a harsh tone from a loved one can ruin your entire day, even if it was unintentional. Or how constant exposure to curated beauty on social media makes us feel inferior, not because the images are true, but because our eyes and minds aren't trained to distinguish highlight reels from reality. The senses deceive from time to time, and it is prudent never to trust wholly those who have deceived us even once. This didn't suggest that we never use our senses, only that we should never place absolute trust in them. This is crucial today. Consider how often we react to evidence that turns out to be edited, cropped, or completely false. A viral video shows 10 seconds of a conflict and provokes outrage. But the full video tells a different story. Our emotional reactions are valid, but the triggers for them may not be. Your assumptions are your windows on the world. Scrub them off every once in a while, or the light won't come in. Our assumptions, built from past experiences, cultural influence, and emotion, shape how we interpret every look, word, and action. If those assumptions are outdated or unexamined, they turn perception into distortion. You might assume a coworker's silence is arrogance, when in truth it's shyness. You may see a friend's distraction as indifference, when it's really anxiety. These sensory misreads, left unchecked, become narratives, and those narratives build distance between us and reality, and between us and each other. Appearances are often deceiving. This timeless phrase, often attributed to Aesop's fables, speaks directly to the root of everyday misjudgment. In modern life, we are surrounded by surfaces, social media profiles, product packaging, polished resumes, curated personas. Everything is designed to catch the eye, but not always to tell the truth. A person who smiles the most may be hiding deep pain. A confident speaker might be covering insecurity. A sleek brand may mask unethical practices. Relying on appearances alone, what we see, leads us to make shallow assumptions about people, situations, even ourselves. But when we look beyond appearance, by listening more, asking better questions, pausing before reacting, we find substance over style, truth over assumption. Reality leaves a lot to the imagination. Ironically, Lenin's playful quote shows the creative side of questioning what we perceive. If our senses are unreliable, that doesn't just mean we should doubt. It also means we have the freedom to reinterpret. This is especially powerful in situations that feel fixed or hopeless. Stuck in traffic? You could fume, or listen to an inspiring podcast. The imagination allows us to reshape perception into possibility. This isn't self-deception, it's reframing, an essential mental skill in everything from therapy to leadership. Lenin reminds us, if the senses are incomplete storytellers, we're allowed, even called, to rewrite the story in a way that empowers us. Your senses are the gateway to the world, but they are not the world itself. They filter, distort, project, and interpret, often without your awareness. As we've seen through the words of Descartes, Seneca, Kant, Thoreau, and others, what we perceive is not always what is. The eyes can deceive, the ears can mishear, the heart can misread, and the mind, shaped by memory and bias, often fills in the blanks with fiction. Thanks for watching, and I hope this video gave you something to think about, maybe even question. If this message resonated with you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who might need to hear it too. We're building a space here for deep thinking and honest reflection, and you're part of that. Until next time.